Good morning, dear children. In this video, I'm going to give you the summary of the chapter in the Kingdom of Woes. It's a part of your supplementary book. Let us begin with the summary. The story is about the Kingdom of Woes. In this kingdom, both the king and the minister are idiots. In order to be different from other kingdoms, they decide to change night into day and day into night. They order the people to work all through the night and sleep at sunrise. As delight of the king and the minister, one day a guru and his disciple arrive in the city only to find that no one is outside. Everyone, including the animals, is asleep. Once evening descends, they see the townspeople go up and about their business. The guru and disciple go in a grocery store and find that everything costs the same, a dudu, which is the currency of the kingdom. They are very happy because they can buy anything for just a rupee. Soon the guru realizes that this is a kingdom of fools and feels that it is not wise for them to stay there. However, the disciple is reluctant to leave because food is very cheaply available there. The guru warns him that as this is a kingdom of fools, they do not know what may happen next. What the disciple doesn't listen. When the disciple doesn't listen, the guru decides to leave. The disciple stays behind and eats to his heart's content every day. Eventually, he becomes obese. One day, a thief breaks into a merchant's house by making a hole in the wall of the house. After stealing, he attempts to escape through the same hole, but the wall collapses on him and he dies. The thief's brother complains to the king. He says that his brother's death is the merchant's fault and the latter should be made to compensate for the family's loss. The king promises to deliver justice and summons the merchant. When the merchant agrees that the thief had broken into his house and had the wall collapse on him, the king declares that the merchant has pleaded guilty for the murder of the thief. The merchant then says that the fault lies with the person who built the wall poorly. The merchant says that the bricklayer who built the wall years ago is now an old man. The king then summons the bricklayer. When the bricklayer admits that he had built the wall, the king announces that he must be punished. The bricklayer says that he knows the wall had not been built properly, but it was not his fault. At the time, he was distracted by a beautiful dancing girl who was walking up and down the nearby street with the ankles jingling all day. It says it is the girl who is to blame. The king agrees to summon the dancing girl. The dancing girl, who has now grown old, comes to the court trembling with fear. The king asks her if she had walked up and down the streets years ago when the bricklayer was building the wall. When she admits that she had, the king accuses her of murdering the thief. The woman recalls that the reason she had been walking up and down the street that day was because she had given some gold to a lazy goldsmith who kept delaying the work. As such, she had to walk to his house several times to get her jewelry. Thus, she says, The fault lies with the goldsmith. The king now summons the goldsmith. The goldsmith, in turn, has his own story to tell. He says that the reason he gave the dancing girl so many excuses is because he was very busy working on a rich merchant's order. The merchant had a wedding coming up and was very impatient. Upon further inquiry, it turns out that the merchant the goldsmith had spoken of is the same merchant whose wall had collapsed upon the thief. The merchant is summoned again. However, he claims he is innocent because it was his late father who had ordered the jewelry. After consulting his minister, the king announces that since the actual culprit is dead, someone must be punished in his place. As his son has inherited his riches from his father, he has inherited his father's sins as well. Thus he must die. The king orders his servants to build a new stake for the merchant's execution. While the servants are sharpening the stake, it occurs to the minister that the merchant is too thin to be executed that way. The king is worried as well. They decide on a simple solution. They must find a man fat enough to fit the stake. They immediately send the servants to look for such a man. The servants find that the disciple fit the criteria. As they take him to the place of execution, the disciple remembers his guru's warning. He silently prays to his guru, hoping that he hears his prayer from wherever he is. The guru has magic powers and is able to see the past, present, and the future. He sees everything in a vision and arrives to save his disciple's life. The guru whispers something to the disciple and then goes to meet the king. He asks the king to tell who is wiser between guru and his disciple. The king replies that the guru is wiser. The guru then asks to be put to death first. His disciple should be killed at the stake after him. Hearing this, the disciple understands the trick and demands to be the first one to die. The guru and disciple begin to quarrel. The king is puzzled and asks the guru why he wants to be killed. The guru says he will answer the question if the king promises to kill him first. When the king agrees, the guru tells him that they want to die because they have never been to a kingdom such as this or seen such a king. He says that whoever dies at the new stake first will be reborn as the king of the kingdom, and the one who is killed second will be born as a minister. The king is troubled because he doesn't want to lose his kingdom even in the next life. So he postpones the execution and consults his minister. They decide to go on the stake themselves so they can be reborn as king and minister. The king tells the executioners that the criminals would be sent to them at night. They should first execute the person who arrives first and then the second man. That night, the king and minister secretly go to the prison and release the gum and the guru and the disciple. They then disguise themselves as the guru and disciple. Then they are taken to the stake and executed. When the bodies are taken to be thrown to the crows and vultures, the people recognize the bodies to be that of the king and the minister. All night the people mourn and discuss the future of the kingdom. Just as the guru and disciple are about to leave the city, some people find them and beg them to be their new king and the minister. The two agree to rule the kingdom, but on the condition that they would change all the old laws. From then on, day becomes day and night becomes night. Nothing is available for a to do. The kingdom becomes like any other place. So the chapter has a message for us, and the message is that we should be sensible in our decision making, and our decision making should be based on logic and not on our whims and fancies. Thank you.